Hello, good morning. How are you? Today we are doing Kombucha 101. Super excited. Hi everyone, I'm Cameron. Welcome to my kitchen here in Thailand. And today, Kombucha 101, we are going through the first and second phases of making our homemade kombucha using a Scoby. So it's super simple process. We've got the first phase, fermentation, which is putting it in the Scoby house, and this has been fermenting for about a week. I find in the tropics it goes a little bit quicker, so anywhere from 7 to 10 days the first fermentation process is finished. And so this has been sitting, and we will go through the process of what this is, and we will also be doing the second fermentation phase. So bottling our kombucha and adding some fun flavors. So today we're going to be flavoring with some mixed berries, and this is with frozen fruit, and also I love a ginger flavor. So we're going to be doing second phase fermentation simultaneously first phase, because if you already have your Scoby, you're going to be doing these processes together, because as you pour and flavor your kombucha, you're going to be adding more liquid into your house, so that then you can simultaneously be having the first phase fermenting again while you're enjoying your kombucha. So then you're doing it continuously, so you always have a nice batch of homemade kombucha, and you can get super creative with the flavors. Yes, kombucha, awesome. Love your excitement. As we go, feel free to ask questions, leave comments, and hopefully it will be simple and quick this morning. So first step is I'm going to go ahead and heat our water, because the mixture in the house, the Scoby house, is black tea. You can also experiment with green tea and sugar. And I'm using just regular black tea here and regular sugar. You can also experiment with cane sugar and different types of sugar, but since the Scoby is eating the sugar and this is what he likes, I've just been doing the typical sugar. I did my label making yesterday. We've got Scoby's food ready to go. Scoby the Scoby. Scooby the Scoby. Alright, so we're going to heat our water here so that it will have plenty of time to cool down by the time we're maybe wrapping up. And then for the water, I'm just going to be heating not all the water that would go into your house, and you can use different size containers. Your Scoby will grow to the size of your jar. So the bigger your jar, the bigger your Scoby will grow. You can then cut your Scoby and share it with friends, or use as other starters in other batches. So as it grows, you can then be using parts of it as another Scoby starter. So, and you'll get an up-close look at Scoby as we continue this process. So I'm heating, like for this size, I heat just a little bit of water. We'll use 3 to 4 tea bags, maybe half a cup of sugar, and then room temperature water will mix with the heated water so that it doesn't heat too much. You want it to cool kind of to room temperature, because the Scoby likes just room temperature liquid for his house, and he likes quiet, dark places. So that's why I have him in a little covered area, or you can place him in a cabinet somewhere that doesn't get too much traffic. Maybe cover him, but make sure also that when you do cover him, it's with a cheesecloth or breathable cloth on the top. And again, I'll give these tips and stuff as we go, just so you remember and are reminded, and it makes the process super simple and easy. So we're heating our water. We'll add then our tea bags and our Scoby food, our sugar, so that it will dissolve, and then we'll let it sit and cool. So while our water is heating, that's for the first phase fermentation. For our second phase fermentation, we're going to be doing the flavoring of the Scoby. So that means we're going to be removing the Scoby from the jar and using the liquid that we've fermented. We're going to be using bottles here and adding our flavorings. This morning we're going to be doing some berry and ginger flavors. This is my go-to favorite. I love it. It makes it naturally sweet, a bit of a zing from the ginger, and again, you're getting the nutritional benefits from whatever additives that you're putting into your kombucha. Because we don't want the kombucha to be overly sweet. The fermentation is good for your gut health. There's lots of studies, people say different things. I think that it's good as long as you're not using excess sugar or sweetening it in the second phase with too much. I think homemade is the best way to go. That way you have complete control and know everything that is going into your kombucha. So sometimes if you're getting the overly sweet and flavored kombuchas, maybe these aren't actually the super healthful kombucha for your gut that you think it is. But with doing our homemade process, it's simple, quick, and high in nutrients. So you're going to want to be using clean glass jars for the second fermentation phase. Using ones with pop top is highly recommended. So ones that will really air seal it, this will help give it the fizz. Otherwise it remains a bit flat. It's still of course drinkable. But with the pop top, you'll get that fizzy sensation of your kombucha. All right, so we're gonna do some berries, and the only problem here is that the mouth isn't so big of our jar, but I'm just gonna add in our berries. It's nice when they're small, then it's not so hard to get out. Same with the ginger when you're using these small neck bottles, trying to cut the pieces really small so that way the cleaning process isn't overly taking too much energy. How to say? It's still early in the morning here. Help me out. All right, so our water is about ready. Let's see. In this second phase of fermentation, you can be using anything. So maybe you want apple and clove, like a fall flavor kombucha, and you can put apple slices, cut them up. You can add whole cloves. You can get creative here with different types of berries. You can try with lemon or lime, but these I recommend not putting the whole peel in, just the juice, and put it in the fridge, because I've had some go a bit rancid with the peel in there. I wonder if this is just my experiment or if anybody else has had this. Let me know. Alright, so this I think will be good for the amount of berries. I like to just cover the bottom. Maybe it's like half a cup. Let's see. Alright, so we're going to pause this for a minute. You can see here we're just filling our jar with the frozen berries, and you can use frozen or fresh. Either will work. Then we'll take a minute here and cut our ginger as we also prepare. Our water is boiling, so I'm going to cut the heat. We're going to add 3 tea bags. And again, you can experiment with whether you want black tea or green tea. Play around with it, and that's the fun thing as you do batches. Like it takes anywhere 7 to 10 days, maybe even 2 weeks depending on your climate for the first phase fermentation, just making the tea and the water mixture with the sugar and letting him sit. This might take anywhere from 7 to 14 days. So you want to do that. You want to do the second phase, so you're continuously having the rotating batches. And you can play around with the flavors. So once you kind of get a system, then you can get more creative with your flavors, and it's super fun. Alright, so then we have our Scoby Food, and we're going to do a half a cup of sugar. Because the Scoby loves sugar. This is how he eats, and this is how he grows. It's super funny. So let's see, let's use a wooden spoon here. And just stirring this to kind of incorporate the tea, and you want to dissolve the sugar. And then we're gonna let this just sit and cool a little bit. We'll be mixing it with room temperature water to bring the temperature down. Some of the jars, especially if you order kombucha making kits online, you can find that some of them will have the temperature, like a temperature sensor on the jar, so you can make sure that it reaches a certain temperature before you're putting the Scoby in, different things like this. Here I'm just using a cheap jar from the store, no fancy equipment, but you can get full starter kits, everything you need, even with the pop-top bottles, all this online. Alright, so our sugar is dissolved. Our tea bag's in. So first stage fermentation, we're just now going to let this sit, and that's 3 bags of black tea. Maybe you use 4 depending as well on the strength that you want. And half a cup of sugar. Again, you can play around with more sugar, less sugar. He loves sugar. So playing around with this, I've known some people experiment with cane sugar, but maybe noticed he didn't grow as fast or wasn't looking so well. So again, it's just playing around and watching and observing and playing around with the different factors and taste as well. So maybe you do one batch and experiment with another one, they turn out completely different, or you want different flavors, or let it ferment for more or less time depending too on how sharp or acidic or fermented that you want it. Alright, so we have our first stage. We're going to let it sit there. Now we're going to move on to our ginger. So I'm just going to peel this a little bit. And I love the ginger in kombucha. I think it makes it super fresh and good flavor. So these have just kind of been going on my go-to list of just every time the berries and the ginger. It's simple, it's quick, and I love the flavor, so I kind of found the flow that I like and just kind of groove within this week to week. Because once you do it, it's not really a long process, or it doesn't take much energy. Alright, so we're going to cut our ginger. This is one I like to cut small to make sure it comes out of the jar with ease. Otherwise the cleaning process takes longer than anything. So cutting it into thin strips. Alright. And this, I feel like, helps release some of the nutritional benefits and the flavor as well when you chop it smaller. Alright, so now we have our fresh ginger. Beautiful. And we're just going to, again, kind of sieve this into our bottle. And this will probably make more than one. So then, this is the only pop-top bottle I have, so it makes it definitely the fizziest. You can for sure notice the difference. But we will maybe add the remaining fruit or a little ginger to another bottle that can just not be as fizzy or bubbly. So really anything possible. And then this second fermentation phase, even with the berries and all your toppings, sits on the counter for like 2 to 6 days, depending on, again, your climate and how bubbly you want it. So you let it just sit with your toppings, and each day pop the top and just let the air out and close it again. And you'll notice day by day it getting more fizzy, more fermented. So that's too when you can start to test it and taste it and see what meets your preferences. So it is just the liquid, and it's sitting at room temperature, sitting out, and this is the fermentation process. Yum! Alright, so now we have our berries and our ginger here in our bottle. We will now remove our Scoby. So this, I like to have a bowl or something to put him in. You can use your hands, or sometimes I play around with just trying to catch him with a big spoon. Let's see if you can see here. this part. Let me make sure. How's everybody doing? Are you making your kombucha along with me? I'm curious. Are you ordering your Scoby? All right, so we're gonna take him out and put him just in a bowl because when we're transferring the liquid, we're gonna wanna save like 1 to 2 cups from this batch to keep into the second batch. So we're gonna keep about 1 to 2 cups from our first to transfer with into our second batch that will stay in the house. So now we will remove the Scoby. He's growing so big. Wow. Let's see if you can see here. It's super interesting. So I'm just gonna scoop some of his water. That will be saved and just keep him hydrated. All right, so let's show you the Scoby here. This is your Scoby, and you want to be careful touching him, but it's okay. This is what makes your kombucha, and you can see he's starting to grow these different layers. So if I wanted to cut those off, I could, and someone could start their kombucha with this, and he continues to grow. Here we've got another layer on the top as well. So here we have our Scoby. This is what starts the kombucha. And then yes, you will peel off these bottom layers to start more batches of kombucha. All right, so let's rinse my hands. All right, okay, so now we've removed Scoby from his house. Now we have our liquid here. So we're gonna use a funnel, and this is the fermented liquid, our kombucha. And we're just gonna funnel it into our prepared bottle. Leave some room for the fizzing. We're about to have a Scoby mess everywhere, kombucha. All right, so here we have our first bottle of kombucha. Ah, amazing. It will be berry ginger. And now we're just gonna let this sit on the counter, room temperature, maybe just a few days. We'll check the fizziness and we'll check the flavor, how we like it, more strong or less. And whenever we feel it's ready, put it in the fridge, and then it's ready to go, and it can stay in the fridge for a little while, and it will just kind of preserve it at the flavor that you like it. So we will just, let that sit on the counter every couple days or every day or so. Pop the lid just to prevent it from overflowing with the fizziness. And so now we still have another bottle of kombucha. So again, let me make sure. This bottle is not pop top, so it's not going to get as fizzy, but of course it still works. Even if you wanted to drink the kombucha now, you could. Like it's ready to go, but it just depends on the flavorings that you want and fizziness if you want, but it's totally that you could just drink it right away. So I'm just going to put in the rest of the berries that we have here. We'll cut a little more ginger. Again, you could do, actually I should have done, maybe an apple cinnamon one. I do have apples in my fridge. Apple cinnamon could be nice, fun for the fall. All right, so preparing our ginger, and again, cutting it into the small pieces. be amazing. I love kombucha, like the flavor, the fizziness, it's just a little extra something. It's not that I have kombucha every day, but every now and then it's something special to have, and it does offer the health benefits, a little flavor, a little fizz, a mix up from regular water or coconut water. So I feel like with a lot of things, you know, it's part of a healthy lifestyle, but that doesn't mean that you have to have it every day. So just weaving it in, and over time you'll get the benefits. Nothing is right away. So just taking our time here, adding in all our ginger pieces. And so depending too on the size of your kombucha jar where your Scoby lives, his house, this will also determine how much kombucha you make. So obviously the bigger your jar, the more liquid you can put in and the more kombucha you will make after. So you can also do him in like a regular small size jar, make like a cup of kombucha every time, but I like kind of this medium size. I'm like the medium size. I'm not making and selling. It's just for personal consumption or for friends. So I definitely have more than enough kombucha to last me throughout the weekend. So, all right. So we've added our ginger and berries here to our second jar. We'll add in the remainder of our kombucha. And then this one's not going to get so fizzy, so it's kind of, yeah, it's okay to leave less room for the fizz and the bubble. And again, we can leave this out. We can also, it's already a little fizzy, you can see. Leave it out or put it in the fridge. All right, so now we have just a little bit of liquid left. Let's see. And we'll just add it into a jar and we'll use the rest as well for the first phase. So now I'm just gonna rinse my jar, clean it out a little bit. You can see that some of like the Scoby remnants, black tea remnants, sugar, something, it just gets in the jar. So I just like to rinse it out, make it nice and clean for him to come back into. So I'll head to the sink for one moment and get ready. We'll prepare for now doing the first phase, setting up his house once again. So we've got our fermentation, and then now we'll prepare again for next time. All right, so now we have our jar. Let's see. Here. Now we're just gonna fill. So we're just gonna use filtered water here. I'm gonna fill the jar about halfway or so, because then we're also gonna be adding in our tea mixture with the sugar, and we're gonna be adding in the liquid from the last batch as well as the Scoby. So that's not about half, but we're just gonna add this. We'll see how much liquid we have here. You could be doing exact measurements, making sure it's all ready to go, but here we're just kind of going by intuition. So we add our tea mixture. Give it a stir. It's still pretty warm. Let's add a little more of this. It has enough to kind of float around in. I like to keep him happy, you know. So we'll add a little more water. And now we basically have our first phase ready to go again. So it's still a bit, I feel, too warm for him. So maybe we wait a little bit longer just for it to drop more to room temperature. And then we add the remaining liquid and the Scoby into our jar. So here you can see Mr. Scoby. All right, so yeah, now the final phase thing to do to wrap up the first and second fermentation phase is to wait for the liquid to cool down more to room temperature. It's definitely too warm for him still. And add in the remaining liquid and the Scoby, cover it with a cheesecloth or a breathable cloth. Sit him in a cool, dark place, maybe not a cabinet that would be getting too much traffic, but yeah, putting him somewhere nice, dark, breezy, has the open cloth, and yeah, then he'll be happy. Let him ferment for 7 to 10 days, depending on your climate, maybe even up to 2 weeks. Or he can stay longer. You can prepare like a Scoby hotel if you're going on vacation or don't want to be doing kombucha anymore. There's a way to prepare the Scoby so that he can just sit for a long time. So you can prepare a Scoby hotel. Maybe next time we'll talk kombucha one-on-one. We can go more into detail about this. But right now we're using our Scoby and we're making kombucha. We're in the process, so we won't go into those details today. But yeah, it's super simple process, and it's just maybe every week or 10 days or so I'm doing this whole process of just doing the flavorings and creating the tea mixture to reset up our Scoby house. So it's super simple. Today it's a little longer because we're talking tips and tricks, but it's easy to prepare your tea and flavor your jars. So then it's just a bit about having some of the right equipment, your glass bottles, having everything kind of ready. So here we have a little bit of the extra liquid from the first phase fermentation. We're gonna give it a try. Yeah, I think it's perfect. It's not so sweet. This is with no flavorings, without the second fermentation phase. It's not so sharp, so even the longer it sits, the kind of sharper, more fermented it will get, which actually I like the really fermented flavors, but this one's quite mild. It's nice. I think it'll be really good with the berries and the little bit of sweetness from this, but it's good. And this you can drink right away. You can put it in the fridge. You can keep it plain kombucha or do the different flavors. And today we did our ginger and berry flavor. For those of you that are joining a bit later, we've made our berry ginger kombucha here. We're gonna let it sit on the counter just for a few days, see if it will get a bit more fizzy, and then we place it in the fridge and it's ready for consumption. Super amazing. We've done our first phase fermentation. Still too warm, so maybe we don't finish this right away, but it's just adding back in the Scoby, covering it with the cloth and letting them sit. So I think that's all for our kombucha today. If anybody has any questions or comments, or what's your favorite flavor, let me know for sure. If you want another sneak peek at the Scoby. Be careful, I just ripped him a little bit. He's split. Does anybody on the island need a Scoby? Let me know. Alright, so here he is. Actually, another part just kind of came off as well. So these can all be used as Scoby starters. Or once he's sitting, maybe it kind of melds back together. But definitely he could be split. New Scobies will start and over time he grows and grows to the size of your jar. He starts to grow lengthwise, as you can see here, into layers that you can then be branching off, making more Scobies, making more kombucha. All right, so that's our Kombucha 101 crash course for the day. Our first phase, which is in the big jar, second phase, which is the flavorings. We've made a lot of magic here this morning. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you're creating kombucha at home. It's super easy, homemade. You've got the health benefits, helping with balancing within the gut, especially if you're making it properly without all that extra added sugars and letting it ferment long enough and things like this. So have a nice, healthy, fizzy drink of kombucha. Let me know if you're making it. Tag me in your creations. I'd love to see. Tag my account at Root to Rise. Also, little reminder here, subscribe to my newsletter. The link is in my bio, or roottorise.online. And there I give out a bi-weekly newsletter. You'll get first access to new recipes and discount codes, updates about the book. My Quest for Zest Thailand cookbook has launched on Amazon, so definitely check this out. Support me as a chef and artist and photographer. I've poured my heart into this self-publication cookbook, so I would love your support. You can find that on Amazon, just Googling Amazon Quest for Zest Thailand. Check it out, leave me a review. Thank you so much. Subscribe to the website. You'll get quick and easy access to all these things, free recipes, live demo schedule, holistic health hacks, all things to make lifestyle health super fun and convenient and easy. And what else? Join me and nutritionist Libby, a friend here on the island. We've been making some fun recipes, creation videos and content, sharing with you all. And we're going live together on Friday, making papaya boats and talking all things toppings and coconut yogurt, quick and easy breakfast or snack, and benefits of all these ingredients that we'll be using. It'll be super fun, super exciting here in my kitchen. So I look forward to seeing you Friday, and stay tuned. I'm wishing you all a lovely day or evening wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining. We'll have some fun kombucha here. Yeah! So hope to see you all soon. Thank you so much.